the search for great glory. We have quite a good record too, which furthers with one of our guests tonight.
Which is why he's jumped on board. He knows where his bread's buttered. He was not talking about the old bloke. I'm talking the young bloke.
He was with us in grand final week here in the studio. Now he takes his place permanently on Players Night. Josh Dunkley. Josh, it's great to have you on board. Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you having me on.
And Patrick Dangerfield, GVP reigning champion. Pat, welcome back.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
All right, I want to take a peek behind the curtain with the two of you. Maybe, Gaz, you go first. What was it like to have Patrick Dangerfield?
It's a pain in the neck it was, Gerard. Right from the very first Zoom meeting we had, he wouldn't shut up. No one could get a word in. No, it was. I tell you what it was. It was having watched him play, throughout his career as an observer and a commentator, and marvelled at his abilities. To be able to sit there and be on the same team, I'm not being silly about this. Was just one of the highlights. And I did go up to him before the game and said that to him. I've said, I've watched your whole damn career, and I've marvelled at your ability, and to be able to, to sit on the same side of him is a joy. And in the end, thank God we had him, because he didn't let anyone down. He did what he's been doing his whole career. This here was one of my favourite moments. I just thought we were cooked then. That was going to be an intercept mark. It was a real critical time of the game, and the old boy's legs just exploded, and he got one last contest in, and that goal sort of sealed it. So no, it was a highlight. To be, if I'm being serious, it was a great highlight to be in the same room as him.
So he had you as the chef de mission. What was it like to have Gaz in the inner sanctum, Pat?
I think he made it. I don't want this to turn into a love fest, Gerard. But at the risk of that, I think what makes these things work is the passion that underpins it, and that was clearly the success of the 80s and 90s, and that was going to be, somewhat hard to replicate. So there was no point trying to replicate it, because it's a different time now. But Gaz brought that for us as a Victorian team, because we didn't have that in the crowd. We didn't have, it was very much a parochial Western Australian crowd, and very much one-sided. So Gaz brought that passion and enthusiasm for the Big V and what it means and the history surrounding it. And I'm closer to Gaz in age, I think, than most of the players that were playing. So the connection between he, myself and Max was pretty clear, because we're the old guys in the team.
Well, you have to pick the baton up and run with it. Hopefully in 15, 20 years' time, State of Origin's still going, and it's the likes of Pat and Max will keep driving it. And I reckon the bloke sitting next to him on our big screen is going to get a look in at some stage as well. That's why it was so important, Gerard, to get it right, because God love Patrick. At some stage, his career will come to an end and his spot's got to be filled, and it's the Josh Dunkleys of the world are going to fill him. Is
it a Guernsey one day that you would like to wear, Josh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the pride and the passion you could see was, on show over there in Perth was really special. So I think it was a great concept. I hope they continue to do it, because, for guys like myself that weren't able to get over there and or be picked, you want to be picked in that team to play with, some special players.
Josh, what a time in your life it's been. So a third premiership, a best and fairest to go with it. You get engaged in the off-season, you're elevated to captaincy of the club, and you take up with us here. Does it feel like a real time in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time in life. I was talking to a few people, and it's great that we've been able to do what we've done over the last couple of years. But, to share some of those memories now with family and obviously my fiancée, and those little things is very special. So I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in. But I know that there's a job at task, and look forward to hopefully leading the boys well this year.
So the engagement is fantastic. We're excited about that. From a footy point of view, we judge players on big stages. You've played in 5 grand finals and you've won 3 of them. It is extraordinary. I know you understand, because we've had you in here and you've talked about it, and you understand the privilege of playing in grand finals, but getting the job done as well. It's an outstanding record.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not too big on the records, to be honest, until I'm done. You move on pretty quickly as a footballer, and I think we've been able to do that, and I've been able to do that as an individual over my career. So being able to continue to get to work and, do the little things that help us get to that point is what I'll look to do. But it is nice to look back when you do look back and you hear those sort of stats and comments. It is an absolute privilege.
When you sat with us on the Thursday night and you'd been spied in a moon boot, it turns out you were nursing a grade 3 syndesmosis. What was that doing to you privately? Did it put an edge around the week?
Well, yeah, I had to grit the teeth when I walked into there on, I think it was a Thursday night. But no, it was, it was an interesting week for myself. Something that I'll look back on probably one day and think, how did I do that? To be honest, it was the worst pain I've ever felt playing a game of football. So it was very sore, but I was able to manage my way through it. I think the best thing I did was sort of tell myself that I was going to be fine, and then everyone around me thought I was going to be fine. So there was no other reason other than to be fine. And I'm glad I sort of put myself out there on grand final day and played the role that I could play for the team. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to get up.
So did you have to convince medical staff? Did you have to convince the coach? What did you go through to be able to plant your flag and go, no, I'll be right?
No, I was probably lucky that I went back on against the Pies. So I did it in the third quarter, early stages of the third quarter, and I was able to play out the game, with some help of some meds and a couple of jabs in the ankle. But if I didn't play that second half, I might have been in trouble, I reckon, because Fags probably wouldn't have been able to tell whether I'd be able to get through a game. And, a grade 3 syndesmosis is pretty serious stuff. So, yeah, to be able to get through that was big. The Sunday got the scan, and then, fortunate enough on the Monday to sort of get the all clear from the medicos that I'd be able to, do my week as per and, get to grand final day and be ready to go.
So that's the uplifting story, Paddy. And then the other side of the coin is, you get to a grand final day again and you just fall short. We had Chris in here last night and he said, well, he deals with it in his own way. He hasn't reviewed it. He's looked at bits and pieces of it, but he doesn't want to overplay, the adverse effects of losing the granny. How do you deal with it? You handled yourself magnificently post-siren. You got round to all the players, but when you get a quiet moment, what's the overwhelming sentiment?
Well, it's the fine balance between what you can learn from it and then making sure you don't live in it and with it. So you live with it in a sense of it's, clearly it's a grand final, it's an opportunity that you would have loved to have nailed but haven't. But you can't be disabled by that disappointment. And if you live in it too long, you run the risk of doing that. The message for our guys, and even internally, talking to myself in the dark moments post, is we had a hell of a season. We just didn't have as great a season as Brisbane, who are incredibly deserving. And even just listening to Josh now, having had syndesmosis surgery, people, when they hear grade 3, I don't think it really means anything to anyone. But having had that, it's extraordinary to be able to back up and play a week later. And unless you've actually experienced that, I think most people would go, oh, that sounds painful. But the how it's judged is the splitting of the bone, and grade 3 is as serious as it gets. So, mate, just listening to that is inspirational in itself. But for our guys, it was, disappointment clearly. But we've had a hell of a year and we just haven't quite got there. And 17 other teams were in that same position. We got the closest, but we just didn't quite get there. So it stings over the summer. It'll sting longer for some. Personally, for me, you've got to move on quickly, and I did.
So do you still see it as a successful year? I mean, we, from the outside that never won one, think it's all or nothing. This is the thing we always sit back on and look at regrettably. But do you still see last year as a successful year?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think if you look at it relatively to other years, you go, yes, absolutely, it was a successful year. And even it was funny, chatting with Bucks pre-Christmas, just randomly in the hallway, on the field at various stages, we sort of, got into those areas. And he spoke about the success and the season it was. And I did ask him, I did say, but you would have viewed it that way, one time ago. But with the wisdom of time, age, experience, I think you do have a greater understanding that if you only ever look as a premiership being the one defining moment that means you've had a successful year, then, geez, it's going to be lonely. And Chris has been incredible as a coach for, the decade that I've been involved in the club with that approach. Doesn't mean it's not hard at various stages, and sometimes you've got to live a bit of a lie. But it's a better way to live, and it's a better way to enjoy your footy.
Josh, the final plank really is tonight, the Fox Footy doco reliving what transpired, and particularly from the qualifying final to the grand final. there's a necessity to revisit it at this time. Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy reflecting on the story of winning that flag?
Yeah, I mean, and Danger's hitting the nail on the head too, though. Like, you learn so many lessons from the losses that you have in grand finals. And, you know, I don't think we would be in the position that we're in at the moment without losing that one to Collingwood a couple of years ago. So it's awesome to be able to relive the memories of winning some. But at the same time, like, you do remember, and it still gets me out of bed, losing that 2023 grand final to Collingwood. Like, if I'm struggling one day to get myself up, I think back to, you know, for me, it was slipping over in a centre bounce against Geordie to go before he kicks that goal. And, you know, a lot of other guys have other motivations around that game too. So it's important to learn those lessons and, hold yourselves in good stead. But at the same time, when you do look back on the wins, they are very special. So it's great that we were able to do that over the last couple of weeks. And, yeah, look forward to watching it tonight. I'm fairly sure it's going there.
Good stuff. At the Lockie Neal scenario, as it played out across the summer, Josh, was it challenging to observe firsthand?
Oh, I mean, it's always challenging when you're talking about people's personal lives. It's very tough, and, you know, it's obviously not something that plays out in the media all the time. So we've been able to support Locke and Jules in both aspects, and we just wrap our arms around him and their family, and hope that, you know, everything moves on quicker and we can get on with football now that the season's starting. So it's nice to be able to focus on footy moving forward, and as a footy club, we're looking forward to doing that.
One of the knock-on effects has been the question over the culture, which is something that I imagine you jealously guard, what Chris Fagan and your players have built together. Do you feel that that's been unfair?
Yeah, I mean, I would never question our culture, to be honest. Like, I've never seen a footy club be in the shape we're in at the moment. You know, the boys are so close. There's so many laughs had within the club, and I think we've had a few media people come in over the pre-season and they've been able to witness, you know, what we're about. So to be able to get people in and showcase what we do around the football club. I mean, you look at Geelong as well. Like, they've, you know, had sustained success for a reason, and I think that's to do with culture. So teams like that you try and emulate throughout the year and throughout the pre-season, because that's what helps footy clubs be successful. So we've been able to do that for a period of time now, and we're stronger than ever at the moment.
Record suggests you're getting it right, which is great news for Brisbane supporters. Patrick, Friday night, you're heading up there to take on a Suns team that's stacked and loaded, and I think they probably eye you guys off right now as a magnificent scalp to take in opening round. What's the challenge like?
Yeah, it's big. It's I think the conditions compound it. They obviously it's very different to what Melbourne is at the moment, and they had a hell of a year last year, and they've added some pretty, you know, special players. So we're under no illusions what it's going to take to go up there and to get it right.
We've been watching a whole lot of players at Geelong from an injury perspective across the week, but you weren't on that list. Are you in doubt for Friday night?
Hello.
Yeah, long story short, yes, I've got to get through a session Thursday morning. I just couldn't get to the speed I wanted to today. I had a calf knock a couple of weeks ago and just couldn't get to speed against Carlton, and the same thing today. So getting above a certain kilometres per hour is obviously a critical part of preparing, and we won't take a risk that's unnecessary regardless of whether it's round one, but it's sort of, you know, you'd rather miss one than miss four. So Thursday morning, sort of D-Day around me, and we've probably got a few others in that boat in terms of the decision that we make and whether it's a conservative one or whether we're more aggressive.
And Josh, Saturday night you're playing against your old side, which has got some perfect little ring about it. Is it a little special coming up against the Bulldogs, or is it just another game against a contender?
No, I think it is special. I mean, I've always, you know, I've still got relationships there that I'm close with a lot of the guys, so it's going to be great to be out there on Saturday night. I think it's actually not going to be sunny. It's going to be pouring rain, so that'll be good fun. I remember last year we were facing a cyclone, so I hope that doesn't come. But, yeah, fingers crossed we can get out there and put on a show in opening round, which is a great aspect too. I think that's going to be awesome, and the doggies are going to be up there this year, I think, so it's going to be a great test for us.
Pat, just there overall, how are you approaching the season personally? Are you Will you approach it that it could be the last? Do you approach it with the determination that you'll wait and see along the way? What's in your mind as you come to the fresh journey?
Yeah, it's interesting, Gerard. It's a bit of wait and see. I think it's important that if you're going to make the commitment to play on, you've still got to be not at the peak. I know I'm realistic of where I'm at, but you've got to be able to impact and do that over the course of what is a 26, 27-week season. So for me, that isn't playing every game. That's listening to the signs of a body that's approaching 36. So I think as long as the passion and the ability to impact is still there, I'd love to keep playing. But that's not a decision really that will be made from me and from the club until very much the back end of the year, because just so much can change with players as they get older, and Father Time, hasn't had many, if any, losses. So it's unique because I've never sat in this position where it's like, yeah, this could be it. And I'm mindful of just how great the game is and how much fun it is, and making sure that, the decision is the best one for the club and the direction we're going, and not a selfish one. But it's just so much fun to play in and to be a part of that you just want to keep enjoying it.
It's great to have you both with us.
It is.
We'll share the journey of 2026 with you. Pat, good luck. We'll see you maybe Friday night, maybe the following week. Good luck.
Fingers crossed.
And Josh Dunkley, the best of luck for Saturday night.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Good on you, boys.
Our players with
Nice
us
way to
every
open
Tuesday
up.
night. Yeah.
Two big guns.
Excellent. Right over to Razor's Edge. It's never
Bring
been
him
more
in.
topical.
Bring him in. Need to see the little fella.
How are the umpires going to implement the AFL's desire for this little change? Well, not little change, this spate of changes to the game.